third. Okay. Well, almost. Almost. Oh, there we go.
You ready?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. Just notice that.
Morning, so we'll open the meeting today with public comment. Is there any public comment?
Good morning, Tim Ravendal, R-A-V-N-D-A-L. I am with Conservative News from Montana, as well as a citizen of this great county. I have just a couple of clarification questions first. Back in the end of March, I brought forward to Commissioner Debbie on a penalty that was assessed regarding the union side of care for the county. And there was never really a clear explanation on that particular issue, so I asked for that, and I would like to maybe just reiterate that we would like to have that information on what that penalty was. There was a possibility that a penalty was waived, but it was anyway, so I just need to get clarification on that. Number two, I did not bring this directly to the commission. I first brought this to our county attorney, Corey Swanson. There's been some legislative action that affects our local government here, and the one that I brought forward at the very beginning was the passing of HB 95. That particular bill does away with 2-2-140, which is a direct impact on, I will say without hesitation, the accountability of our local government here in state of Montana. So that is there. We also have House Bill 702 and 257 that just most recently were signed into law. Those two bills, I would like to have an opportunity to possibly meet with the commission and get your position. Now, I may be out of line here because there is part of that which is on your agenda today, the mask situation. So I will apologize if I am out of order on that particular thing. The agenda, this has been brought up in Broadwater County multiple times, and this latest agenda was posted and then revised. And of course, again, I will say that I've been following this for a long time, and it's kind of hard or difficult to follow the agenda, what's really going on, as it is very brief and it is very open to interpretation. This agenda that comes out today, we have two items exactly the same at 10 o'clock. It didn't make no sense. It was a typo, I'm sure, but still, there's that. Now, again, keeping in time with people that want to be part of the meetings at these agenda times and have an understanding of what's really going on, the decisions that are being made, it's really important to make sure that we have that for the people, and that's where I come in with Conservative News from Montana. I can't very well give people answers that are asking me if I don't know either. So with that, I would like to have that. Last, and certainly not least, excuse me, going through your upgrade of your system here in Broadwater County to help people keep informed, I have been very pleased seeing the progress in the county website when it was moved from BCDC to having your, I think it's Civics that does the website. Okay, that is very impressive that we have come a long ways in providing the people information, because now there's documents there that we can get prior to meetings that are effective and then being discussed. And I'm hoping I'm running out of time. I don't want to hold you guys up, but one of the things that I really see as important is, again, that ability to see those documents prior, because for the last many years, we've come into these meetings and we've said, okay, what are they talking about? There's no documents available at the meeting with a rare occasion, and then at the same time, I've been told personally that if you want, when we were still meeting at the courthouse, if you would like to have the document that we're discussing now, go on upstairs and get it. Well, if I were to do that, by the time I got back from going upstairs and asking someone for a copy of that document, it would be a lot of times the agenda items over with, and we're a little daylight and $1 short. Again, I'm just giving that example because it is something that we've improved on, and here's where I'm at right now this morning. In your website, what I found is one of the things that the citizens have been asking is on the accountability of our government here at local government level is where is the money going? And certainly the posting that's now coming out on the website where it's called the vendor summary query by date. And I printed this off of the website just to use as an example. This is for checks paid between 4/26/21 to 4/26/21. So it's 1 day of making payments on claims is from what I can decipher. I hope I'm not wrong. If I am, please correct me. I went through this list, which we have been looking at doing I guess you say a pre-payment analysis of claims. One of the citizens has been in here many times over the last multiple years looking at those, or trying to look at those claims prior to being adopted and paid. A couple of the questions that I guess I'm going to just bring up, which is very inquisitive, and I know this particular thing does not have details, and I don't expect that, but these are the questions that the people are asking us in the news side to be informed. I just underlined a few. I'm going to guess the first numbers are the fund numbers for the county, which is, for example, I'll just use this first one. 11283 Myers Leonard M. $2,354.15. Now, I'm going to just a guess, a reimbursement for one of the employees, but I don't know because we don't have no idea. That's just an example of one. There's a Spurlock. There's several different individual names that we don't really know what's going on there. Again, clarity, transparency is very important. Here's the one that really got my attention. We have, excuse me, I just needed to catch my breath here. I underlined this. Okay, Northwest Energy. Understood. Self-explanatory. Paying the bill for Northwest Energy, $8,210. That just doesn't, that's a no-brainer. Right underneath that, under account number 19703, it says Power Plan. And Power Plan is $41,515. And that one just really like, what? It doesn't make any sense. So with those examples, I guess I would like to ask the commission for the best path, to look into this. I have one more, but I would like to be able to look, how do I, as Tim with Conservative News from Montana, look into this without having to go through an act of whatever in order to access some of this information in more detail. I don't know how you guys are operating there, so that's clarification. The last one that I got here, I understand that we have employees moving in and out, and I'm understanding we have an HR person in the county that deals with a lot of the employee issues. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think we do. We did. Question is we got a invoice here. I'm going to call it an invoice. 2281 fund going to West Staff Workforce Solutions LLC. $1,892. Many people are asking, why are we paying outside employment services when we have the ability to do that here in the county? Again, it's just a question that needs to be answered. So with that, I would like to just, again, please give me a indication on where I can go or need to go, and don't tell me really where to go, but well, you can do that, on how I can get the information ahead of these meetings in accuracy when there's questions come up, because now I'm starting to get the idea of where to look behind the curtain, if you will, so that we can understand this before decisions are made. Thank you very much, commissioners, and I'm open for a beautiful day.
Can I answer one of your questions, Tim?
You bet.
On the vendor claims. So we've had this discussion. We have to be careful because of cyber criminals. We give too much information out on. They can take that information, come back through, and potentially harm the county. So we have to walk a little bit of a fine line. I mean,
Absolutely understood.
I understand.
Security and
Yeah.
privacy.
Right. So that's kind of one reason why maybe some of those lines look maybe a little bit evasive. It's nothing intentional.
Let me correct.
Just so
I
you
don't
know that.
think I didn't mean to imply that it's evasive. I meant to imply that it's not clear for us that are following, so we can be better informed on what's going on.
I understand that.
Okay, thank you.
That's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay.
Okay, and I hope that everybody understands that. That's
I appreciate your response there, Mr. Folkford. Again, I'm just trying to make sure I get to the front page so that we can move forward in harmony, if you will. That's my goal.
right.
And I need to be able to help you guys, but I can't do it if I don't know what's going on. So I need to know where to go to get that information without running into roadblocks.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times it's just maybe a phone call. Maybe ask.
Sometimes phone calls do work.
I understand that.
Sometimes.
In regard to West staff, I mean, we are contracted with them to do our human resource. They are our human resource arm for the county.
Okay.
We do have one employee that does human resource stuff, but just to the ability of keeping track of our employee records and things like that. So
So actually, okay,
yeah.
I'm
So
sorry.
the actual HR is a contracted service because it changes daily, weekly with all the federal regulations, and our staff person doesn't have time to specifically deal with just all HR issues.
Okay. And that is also understood. Not that long back, far in our history here in Broadwater County, there was a company out of Butte that was doing HR work for Broadwater County. Are they no longer part of this? Is this a double up? I mean, how many
No, I don't know.
levels of HR work do we have going on?
As far as I've been here, I know that West Staff is the only agency that's doing it. I don't know if you.
Yeah, they're the only one that we have for HR.
And they do a great job. They provide us with a lot of great information, and so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, through West Staff, there's an employee that's not a county employee through the county health. And we pay West Staff.
Oh, that's right. That's true. So
Can you translate that? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
That's a good point, Debbie. I think maybe
The
what
county
people-
health department has an employee who's actually not a county employee, but we have her through West Staff.
Yeah. So what
Is it temporary?
what West Staff does, they provide temporary employment services for us as well.
So that may be part of that bill that you see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Through the
Okay.
COVID, we needed more help in the county health department.
And the reason I underlined that one is because if I, as a citizen of Broadwater County or news, go to West Staff to get some clarification, I've been there before when we've had issues with West Staff in the county before, and being a private business, I still got bumps on my nose from asking questions of West Staff because they are a private business, did not have to talk to anybody that is not under a contract with them. So again, clarification and access is really critical for what I'm trying to do for the people of Broadwater County.
Yeah, they do a great job in helping us to find temporary staff when we need it, and it's great savings to the county.
All right. Thank you for your time this morning.
Yeah.
Thank you for responding.
Of course.
Any other public comment? Okay, so we'll move
Yeah,
on
she does
to.
have one. Mike.
The warrants approval should be an item the agenda where each one is approved, questioned, discussed, or denied by each commissioner in front of the public.
I didn't understand.
Is there a person who said that?
Claire Reading.
And I don't think,
I don't understand what the comment was. What was the comment? Can you read it again, please?
Yeah. The warrants approval should be an item the agenda where each is approved, questioned, discussed, or denied by each commissioner in front of the public.
I don't know what they're asking.
I think whoever that is asking that every single bill be read and approved separately at a commission meeting.
Every single bill?
She said every warrant
We'd have to have a special meeting.
from 8 to 5.
Yeah, by the time you get done approving, I mean, this is,
We actually already have that process.
We already have that process. We do, the commissioners approve these claims as it is, but if you want us to sit here and read every bill for this thing,
Yeah.
there's 14 pages here of claims,
Right.
double-sided. So we'd be here all day reading claims. And then the other part of that is if we start reading those claims, and then we read something that's not to be released to the public, then we open ourselves up for liability. I mean, but the commissioners go through every one of these claims. We have to have 2 signatures on them before they are paid. So they are reviewed by the commissioners, just not in a public setting.
She has another comment.
And Claire, reading again, similar to what and how Granite County does it.
So our next item is Mike Myers, County Maintenance Supervisor, RFP for the roof.
We were postponing that until maybe next week.
Okay. So the next item is the Broadwater School Library Interlocal Agreement.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you today?
Good morning, Eric.
I was, what's that?
What's on, where are you on the agenda? Or do I got the wrong one?
We're on 10:10.
Okay, so we skipped over to 10:05.
He just
We
said
just
it,
got done discussing it. It was delayed until next
and we
week.
announced that it was postponed until next week.
Thank you, I
Yep.
missed that.
Okay.
It was the comment from the Zoom thing. Okay, sorry. My apologies.
If you want one. I did my hand out.
Thank you.
Okay, I was hoping to actually be accompanied by our chief librarian, who actually made these suggestions. Again, they are suggestions to the interlocal agreement. I know we've kind of been going back and forth. We visited we had Corey come to a meeting last year and kind of talk about it, but it seems to be kind of, we're stuck. So what I'm hoping is we can figure out a plan to move forward, that we can have at least maybe a commissioner sit down with our library board, look over these, have a discussion, and see if we can't just hammer these out, so we can understand both sides of the issues. I don't know if you want me to go through this quickly on what we're looking at for some possible changes. Again, our chief librarian made these recommendations, but I am here representing the school, I guess, as far as our end of it goes on this interlocal agreement. So I will proceed however you would like. If we'd rather try to set up some sort of meeting where we can all sit down, or some of us can sit down. We are having a library board meeting on Monday the 10th at 6 p.m. in the community room, which will have our library board present, which it might not hurt to have a commissioner or 2 present, or whatever you feel would be appropriate, so we can at least discuss these so both sides understand maybe what we're thinking and can help have that discussion to see why or why not we may move in those directions.
I would think, Eric, if you just went through the changes,
Okay.
we could get a better understanding of where we're looking at here.
And I will do the best I can. Like I said, I did not make these changes. I will do the best I can to explain them. On the first page, everything in red is something that she had suggested we add. Of course, everything that is struck out is something she would like looked at for removal. So under 2A2, 2 members shall be, originally it was appointed by the county commissioners. The suggestion is be voluntary and approved by current board members. One of the hard things we have is trying to find people that want to actually be on the library board. They aren't knocking down our doors, so a lot of times we go without, we don't have quorums, and we kind of struggle to get a full board on there. So I guess one of the things she's thinking is to try to simplify that process, because I think you guys as county commissioners might have a hard time finding people that are willing to do it that you can appoint to that. If I'm wrong on that instance, we're more than happy to let you appoint folks to be on that. We meet, I think it's every other month, usually the second or third Monday, kind of random on what works for people's schedules. On page 2, there is a change. All terms expire on June 30th. She got suggests getting rid of that, and shall serve until the successors have qualified before August 1 of each year. A trustee may be appointed to replace the retiring trustees. I think August 1 is the day we're looking at because it's the beginning of a new school year. It might make a little more sense, and it's after our fiscal year. So I'm going to move over to the next page. Under budget and finance, 3A, I think it should say each year the superintendent and clerk with the input from the, I think that should be struck out. She did not do that. She would like chief librarian with input and assistance from the superintendent and clerk. Shall prepare an annual budget detailing county and school district funding levels. This is kind of a thing that we've had a discussion about over the last several years, that initially the superintendent did the entire budget, which doesn't make sense because she does the ordering and she decides she needs to figure out how much paper she needs, how much supplies she needs, those types of things. So she figures out the main part of the budget, and it only makes sense that the chief librarian should oversee that. I guess I truly oversee it because she can't get that approved if it's not through me and through our board. But, you know, I provide numbers for salaries, for workers' comp, and for any incidentals that I know, I fill in those. But she determines what supplies she needs and those types of things. So it's just kind of a switch on basically who's in charge of putting that budget together. Again, myself and our board has to approve it, the county commissioners have to approve it also, and the library board has to approve it, so there's 3 prongs there. And let's see, should be submitted and approved. It says that a regularly scheduled, they want to be more specific and have it approved at the April or May board meeting, whichever month they so choose to have that meeting. That way we have kind of a dead end date that you know, we need to have our budget put into library board by then. The next page, I know she kind of marked off on towards the top, number 3, chief librarian shall be responsible to maintain a multi-year capital improvement plan consistent with library needs and supported by the library strategic plan. To my knowledge, we don't have a strategic plan for the library. Might be something we look at in the future. Somebody looks at in the future. But as far as capital improvement plan, that has not been done generally for the library on its own independently. That's something we do as a district and look at that through our strategic planning process. You know, we take care of the facility, the building. For example, hail damage from was the last summer or the summer before. We do have a claim on that, and the library is inclusive of that. We don't have the librarian, chief librarian deal with that. The district does that. So we're in the works of getting all that hail damage fixed at this point. We go down to access and hours. Originally it was 31 hours, and they have moved it down to 25 hours. I wish I could explain that one better. I'm not sure why there was a decrease in hours per that, but I guess they don't want to be stuck with the 31 hours. It is hard to find employees to work those evening hours in the library and weekends, so sometimes that's our biggest obstacle is finding enough people to do the 31 hours. They will increase hours as they see fit. B, within 10 days of adoption by both sides, and prior to implementing it, the agreement shall be filed with the county. She added that in place of the 30 days by both bodies and shall remain into effect. I guess my understanding is it didn't see it necessary to wait 30 days to be adopted when it could be done within 10 days. Again, that's just a timeline. I don't think that's that big of a deal. Either party may terminate this agreement within 60. She would like to move that to 60 instead of 90 days written notice from one party to the other. Termination shall become effective at the beginning of the next fiscal year. I think we need to work on wording with that, because if we're going to say whether it be 60 or 90 days, it really doesn't matter if it's 60 or 90 if it becomes effective at the end. Unless I'm reading that incorrectly. Does that make sense to you guys? If you do written notice, basically you would do it if it becomes effective at the end of the fiscal year, then it doesn't matter if it's 30 or 90 days. I would say it has to be at least, or 60 or 90 days. I'm assuming they're meaning that it should be 60 days before the end of the fiscal year as opposed to 90 days. Again, that's just a suggestion coming from that direction. And then this is where we kind of get, I guess if we'd had some questions, this is where we really need to involve the county commissioners to have these discussions. Townsend School shall retain ownership of its building and will provide the said building for the use of Broadwater School and Community Library. I guess I'm not sure how that ownership is right now. I assume that the school has ownership of the facility itself, but I may be wrong in that. I would like to know more information on that. All property, including books, furnishings, and technology, remains with the Townsend Schools upon termination of the interlocal agreement. This again, if you look at the next couple lines, it says basically that the clerk would have to go through, look at what percentage was paid for each thing, and it'd have to be divided based on the percentage paid towards the library, which could be a process. I want to make it very clear, the school at this time has absolutely no intention of dissolving this interlocal agreement in any way, shape, or form. I think it's a service to the community and to the school that works absolutely amazing. As far as school goes, I think we have one of the best libraries in the state of Montana because of it, because we have additional funding. But I don't want to say that it's going to go in perpetuity, so I think these words are important to discuss. And I'm not sure, she added, there should be ongoing accounting by the clerk, the school district, of percentages contributed by both parties when the library became our, I'm not sure what that means, so I apologize for that. 4 and 5 are what's left. That any depreciation of value of property, either from the initial phases of this joint library or once library is operational, shall be at an agreed upon rate and shall be applied equally to all property of the joint library. And upon termination by mutual consent, a determination of all right, title, and interest in the real and personal property, including permanent improvements, shall be made by the mutually agreeable means, and a settlement shall be reached which is agreeable to both parties. Such settlement shall take into account issues such as federal equity in the building. I guess the more I read that, they kind of contradict each other. So that's why I think it's important that we sit down. We, like I said, we had Corey at one meeting. We didn't get a whole lot. I know Corey's plate has been really full. We understand that completely. But I think it's a time where we need to sit down with the entities and come up with something that's agreeable to both sides. So, any questions at this point?
I've been searching through. How many are on this board right now?
5.
5.
We do have 5 members.
Oh,
They're all community. Well, they're 4 of them are community members, and we have 2 members of our school board that are part of the library board, but only one is. Basically, we have a primary and a secondary. So, one person, Vanessa Flynn, generally goes. When she can't, then Kevin McDonald will go in her place. So we have at least one representative.
Right. So are there currently 2 members that have been appointed by the county commissioners?
No, I think that's where she wanted to change the language. Is since I've been here, we've never had two members appointed by the county commissioners. I think it kind of went by the wayside. And until I read this local agreement, I wasn't aware that that was the case. And I don't think we're opposed to it in any way, shape, or form. I think it's just a matter of how we find people to appoint when we can't get them to volunteer.
How long are these board terms? Are they 3 years?
5 years.
5 years.
I believe. And you can only do 2 consecutive terms. And we have had people do 10-year stints. And I don't know if standing over here I'm messing up the microphone or not. I'm not used to standing in front of one, so.
Do you have an extra copy of this? that I can do?
Oh, yes, I have. I brought 10 copies. I'm always a little over prepared. And I guess, you know, what I really ask is somebody with a keen eye, maybe the legal profession, could look at this and really look at it and see what it does. And I would be we'd be more than happy to sit down even prior to a meeting and say, well, this doesn't make sense for us. And this, so we really are on the same page. Again, this document that we've worked on right now is all pretty one-sided. So I'll be the first to admit that we need both sides to have this discussion.
I guess, Commissioners, if I could just speak real quick on this one. As you guys all know, I'm fairly new, and this is something that Corey has worked on in the past. And he's in a jury trial today, so he couldn't be here today. But this is something that him and I were going to sit down and discuss. And I'm more than happy to look this over. I obviously can't give any advice on it today, but I'm more than happy to look it over and do some research and give some input on it.
That would be wonderful, and that's kind of why we're going to have our next library board meeting, which is kind of a special meeting on the 10th to discuss this, so we can, at least I can have, even if one of you guys can't make it to it, at least if I can get some feedback from you guys coming to me on some of this, it would be very helpful to be able to share that information.
Yeah. So that's kind of Corey and my's plan moving forward on this.
And of course, if you have any other questions, feel free to call me at any time.
We'll keep the discussion going.
All right,
Thank you,
perfect.
Eric.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Page 1020, mask policy in county buildings. I think we've had this discussion with most of our department heads within the county building, and most of them have agreed to remove the mask mandate. The only issue that we have is district court still requires anyone in that court or in that system to wear a mask during proceedings, right?
Yep.
Yes, I think they would be required to wear one even when they're coming in the building for a proceeding.
Okay.
So if they're in the courtroom or they're coming in the building for a proceeding.
I think the other one too was public health. Still
Yeah,
required.
yeah, that's right, yeah.
Where one going into public health.
Public health will still require. Is there any time frame for district court to remove that restriction, or do you know?
So that is something that was passed by the judges of the judicial district, and so it applies both in Broadwater County and in Lewis and Clark County. I haven't heard that they've set any kind of a meeting to review that at this point, but we are following their order.
Okay.
Is essentially what we're doing.
Is there any other discussion, any comments?
I guess, the only comment that, I guess we'll vote on this here in a moment, but if the decision is to go ahead and remove this policy, I would still encourage folks that are at risk to please still wear their masks, because protect themselves. And I guess I'm encouraging people to get vaccinated. I know there's some folks out there that have strong feelings against it, but and that's one way we can help combat this. And then, if we feel we still need to follow our social distancing guidelines, I mean, just kind of use some common sense. I just don't want to see us go backwards. I don't want to give any excuses to do anything like that. I'd like to see us come out of this and move forward for ourselves and our community, and maybe kind of get back to a little bit normal. If there's such thing as a normal lifestyle, but anyway, that's my hopes, and I hope that everybody will do their best to do that. That's all I'm asking.
I think that's a very good point. I just saw a deal on the news, I believe this morning, that the state of Oregon has, the last 3 weeks it had a 23% increase, and the last week their cases doubled. So this it's going to be around for who knows how long. And if you have a restriction that requires you to wear a mask, I strongly suggest that you do so. And if you feel you need to wear a mask, all the better. So that's all I got.
I think with the vaccinations, I'd like to follow up with, there's been reports that people that have got their first vaccination, but they haven't followed up with the second one. So please follow up with your second one. We have what, 2 or maybe even 3 more opportunities, maybe 2 more.
I think 2 more.
2 more in the month of May we can still do our mass vaccination out at the fairgrounds. And then after that, I believe they'll be handled by public health and the hospital on a weekly sign-up basis, however that has been working in the past. But
The next clinic at the fairgrounds is this Thursday.
Okay.
All right.
Is there a clinic out there today?
No,
There isn't a massive amount of cars out there.
Yeah,
jury selection.
Oh, okay.
yeah. So I'd like to see us be a model county. It's kind of tough. We're stuck between 2 large counties, and we have a lot of folks passing through here, but yeah. I guess everybody has challenges. I guess with that, I would make a motion to remove the mask requirement in our county buildings except for the district court mandate and in our public health.
Is there a second?
I would second that motion.
So motion's been made, seconded to rescind the mask requirement for county buildings with the exception of district court and public health. Is there any further discussion? Is social distancing still in effect then?
I mean, that's a CDC guideline, I think.
Okay.
But I guess we encourage folks to follow that guideline if possible.
Okay. Any other comments? Take a vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Question for the order of business. Was there a public comment period offered?
Yeah.
Yes. I just asked for comments.
Just ask.
Oh, I thought you were talking to the commissioner.
No.
I apologize. I did have a comment.
Okay.
And it's already said, but I would still like to make a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Tim, we're gonna have to take up a donation.
Any comments was looking at the commissioner, so,
We were
hey,
looking at-
usually it's referenced any public comment, so I missed that, I
All right.
apologize. As you folks know, I have been very concerned about this since day one. I'm speaking now, Tim Ravendall, citizen of Broadwater County. A problem I see right now is what was just discussed with the district court judges making their decision to restrict all entry into the building, not just the courtroom, for wearing a mask. That's what was just mentioned. Now, judges cannot, and I will repeat and emphasize, legislate from the bench. And I would like to know for sure where this authority comes from for them to override your policy, your rules as the elected officials of Broadwater County in that building, because it technically, which was just said, is I cannot go into the clerk and recorder's office because that's in the same building as the courtroom if there is a court in session. That's what it was implied as.
Mr. Ravendall, I think you misunderstood.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think you did misunderstand, and I'm sorry about that. There is an order from the district court. May I take? I'm just gonna. Sometimes it's easier to hear me without a mask. I have a quiet voice sometimes. There is an order from the district court, and it does say that people who are there for district court need to be wearing a mask. So if a citizen is going into the building and they're not there for district court, then they can follow what the commission is telling them to follow. Does that?
Okay, again, there you have an enforcement issue, which I would say is, is there going to be a guard at the door saying, are you here for court? Are you here for other business? It's insane. Common sense, which Mr. Folkford mentioned, is imperative here. And I thank you for your clarification on that. But still, the next part of that same subject is we've had this discussion as well. The discussion in your policy does not talk about exemptions for those that are not in that situation. Certainly it's mentioned in passing, but where is it at in your policy? It's not there. We have that discussion. If a certain individual with health issues is not able to wear a mask and pushed into that corner, that's violating their rights.
What exemption are you talking about, Tim?
For example, the CDC exemptions where if a mask per se is required in a particular setting in a public building, and that person has health reasons which are protected under law, cannot wear a mask because of the health reasons, that exception is not listed in your policy. And that opens the door for the county to not have the respect for that particular issue in everything that I've looked at here.
That was in our previous policy. That exemption.
You're changing your policy, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, Mr.
I
Volkford.
don't even understand where you're going, Tim. I mean, seriously. Our previous policy had an exemption for somebody that had a health issue and could not wear a mask. That was in our previous policy.
So once again, Mr. Folkford, thank you. And again, because the policy is being changed, this was not discussed at this particular venture or I always miss the right word, but we're talking about changing the policy where you are no longer under your policy requiring masks. There's not necessarily your decision on this distancing, which is mentioned. CDC has control over that. Again, I'm wanting to make sure that we got clear moving forward here and I will use the term that's opposed by many, normalcy, rather than having this hammer hanging over our heads as citizens of Broadwater County. If I'm not making sense, I'll try to explain it differently, but for pretty much it's transparency equals exactly what we need, and if we don't be clear on where we're going with the policy, and again, I was clearly listening when I heard that when you enter the building with the courtroom, the judges have made a decision you cannot enter that building without a mask. And we share these buildings for the public. So that's a problem for me as a citizen without having that clear. And under what authority do the judges have? I mean, what law is being used for the judges to to mandate that if I want to go in as, say, a concerned citizen, or even under the freedom of the press, go into the courtroom, and now I'm in a challenge for my rights, whether I do or do not, and under what authority and what law? These are questions that need to be clear. Thank you. I don't think you guys can answer my questions today, but I wanted to make sure I bring it up for the record. Thank you.
Commissioner Belcher, there is public comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Claire Reading said, I thought the legislative body makes law, not the judicial. And then her next comment was, Tim must have read my mind. Claire Reading.
Her name is Claire Reading.
Any further discussion? We already had a vote, right? Yes. Make sure we vote. Okay, next, 1025, Nicole Brown, Community Development Planner, possible change in fees.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's nice to see your faces.
Almost.
So I'm here today to discuss the address application fee specifically. Currently, the fee for receiving an address for new construction or even an address plaque is $20. The cost for purchasing that plaque plus the corresponding reflective stickers and mailing is $18.75, which leaves $1.25 for my time for updates to the GIS system. So I'm here today. I don't have a formal presentation for why I think it should be an increased dollar amount, but I mean that's essentially my why. I would like to be able to have money from GIS. This is the only source of funding for GIS, outside source of funding, I should say. So I would like to consider a fee of $50 for address assignments, for some of that money to be put aside for updates to the GIS system. I'm currently using ArcMap from Esri. So that's the platform I use in order to assign the address. So, and since the address application has been in effect, I believe it was June of 2004. I came here in March of 2004, and in June is when the county purchased their first GIS system. The fee has been $20 since June of 2004, so I think 17 years with the same fee, I think it's a reasonable ask to increase that fee. Also, the address application fee is not a part of any, the subdivision regulations. There's not been a resolution, so no public hearing, as far as I can tell, would be required to amend this fee. Similarly, we have septic permit applications and driveway approach permits that are their own document with a fee attached to it.
It was driveway, and what was the other one?
A driveway approach application, and that's for driveways directly onto a county road only. And the other one is the septic permit application. And those three, the address application, driveway approach permit application, and I'm sorry, the driveway approach application, it's not a permit, and the septic permit application are new construction documents, if you will. We don't have building codes, we don't have building permits. Any new construction in the county, those are the three items that residents would need to purchase and apply for.
When was the last time that we updated the GIS system? Is that still the same system from 2004?
No. I migrated to ArcMap. I believe it's been 3 years now.
And do you have any, what the fee for that is?
It was $4,800 and some change. I don't know the exact amount, but I do know it was a pretty hefty amount. So the system we started out with, or that I started out with actually, I've been the only user on that program. It was, I think it was just called ArcGIS in 2004. And then we did periodic updates until we maxed out at version 10.1, I believe.
Okay.
And we were then required to purchase ArcMap because they Esri no longer supported ArcGIS. If that's what it was called. I shouldn't say that on the record. I don't remember what the original version was, but in any case, we now have ArcMap. And there are newer versions out there, but I have not migrated to the newest. There's also been an ask from other departments to purchase maps. If you've been into the clerk and recorder's office, a couple of the other offices, there's some nice, I don't think there's one in here, but wall maps with road index on it. That's not been updated since 2007, I believe. But so there have been asks from other departments to print those maps. That would require contracting with another company outside of the county. We don't have the capability to create and print those, but I can certainly send the data on. So that could also be what some of this additional increase, I guess I should say, for the address application could go towards that.
You'd have to get a plotter, most likely, I'm guessing, huh?
Right, and there is one in the clerk and recorder's office. And I have investigated purchasing the map making software, but it is pretty expensive. So at this time, I think it would be less expensive for the county to outsource the printing of those maps. Not to mention very time consuming. So.
Nicole, about how long somebody wants an address, about how long does it take you? 5 minutes, half an hour?
About 15 to 20 minutes, and that's from the time that I received the application. And to clarify, I'm telling folks now, just because of the workload and staffing currently between my office and the environmental health office, 2 weeks from the time they mail in their address application, unless they want to make an appointment to come in. But the actual creation of the address, which I think is your question, 15 to 20 minutes from the time I start with the mapping and then creating the sign and inputting all of the data.
So do we need to take a look at some of our other fee schedule? For other fees that we have.
We certainly can. I'm not prepared to speak to any of the others,
I guess
but
we're just discussing today.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess part of our discussion that we had last week at our compensation board meeting centered around that, didn't it? You remember that?
Yeah.
And that you probably didn't view it.
I
You didn't go
apologize,
home
I
and
did
just
not.
listen to that? I mean,
I know, yeah.
Riveting.
but, so we did have that discussion. Anyway. I guess I would like to look at that as well.
Okay.
Um,
Any one in particular, or are you going to force me to watch this video?
Nope. I just think, we have your list right here of.
Okay.
Of current fees. We need to make sure that there's not, I guess, anything else that we should be looking at.
Okay.
I guess when our sanitarian tells us that he has 100 septic permit applications already this year, and last year at this time he only had 25, tells us something. So,
And in March, he was actually 600% ahead
yeah.
from 2020. I know that I have not, what would I want to say, quantified how many address applications I have, but I know there are a lot more this year than last year. And my assistant is currently inputting all of that data so we can see the dates and when our workload comes in. And, you know, typically for both Sean and myself, more so for addressing the GIS side of it, my busiest time of year is typically from March to June in address assignments. And then for Sean, you know, he typically sometime between May, June, July, you know, because they need the address before they can get power, before they can apply for their septic permit. So mine usually is a little sooner than his, but so for him to be this busy already, I think is a really good indicator of where we're headed.
Yeah. How quickly would you like to do this? What's your time frame?
As soon as we possibly
Soon as you
can,
can.
I think would be good.
Do you guys want to look at review our other fees as well?
I think it'd be good to at least take a look at everything.
Yeah, I would think we'd be better to look at the others. I'm not so sure that we shouldn't probably, with the load that we're getting with these addresses, we probably shouldn't implement this, at least the address one, implement it today if possible. I guess we don't really have you just figured $50.
I feel like $50 is still a reasonable amount to ask of the public. And again, this is all at time of new construction, so I think they're prepared to pay a fee. I just don't want it to be so great, I guess, such a leap. I mean, the fact that we've not increased the fee for 17 years, I think there's justification to go higher than 50. It's been $20 for 17 years. That's not very typical. But, you know, to justify a greater leap, I really don't know.
Just real
Yeah,
fast,
sure.
I don't think you can actually approve it today.
No, we can't.
Because it's a discussion, not decision.
I was going to make that comment.
Okay, sorry to.
We can't do that today because it's on our agenda as discussion item only, so we'll have to table it till next
And I
week
would-
to make the decision.
Sorry. And I would say, keep in mind, this is mostly for new development. Or it's completely for new development.
It is
as well.
absolutely for new development.
So the new development is putting the demands on Nicole and the roads and everything else. So it does not affect anybody that currently lives in a house in Broadwater County. It is for new development.
Correct.
True.
So I would
And-
just keep that in mind.
And, you know, I still think it would be reasonable to only charge $20 for, say, an existing resident that wants an address plaque. Because I do think that they're very beneficial for emergency purposes. I mean, I don't want these people to have to call 911, but if they do, I want them to be found quickly.
Well, I guess that brings up a question I have. I mean, how long has that procedure been in our processes when they request an address? I know you give them a sign, right? Is that part of it?
Yep.
So how long have we been doing that?
June of 2004.
Okay, so,
Yeah, I came in March of 2004, and in June is when we started our 911 addressing.
so at some point along the way, they've been given a sign. It should be,
Yes, unless they've been here before June of 2004, because we did not
Yeah.
send them out to all existing
Okay.
residents. I mean, it was all new construction.
sure.
But
I'm agreeable to that.
and there have been times where folks have misplaced their plaques and need to come in for an additional one. And,
Replacement?
yeah. So that's where I think the $20 would be. I mean, I do look up their address, just to verify when they come in and say I misplaced or I need an address plaque. I always verify to make sure that they're actually using the correct address, that I have them on the system. That takes all of 5 minutes at the very, very most, and then to create a new sign. But
So maybe on the agenda for next week?
I
Decision?
would say, yep.
We can aim for that?
Super.
We'd have the opportunity to, I know Commissioner Randolph did some great research and gave us some information from surrounding counties, and so we can use that. So,
Okay.
all right.
super.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
And you have that phone number, yes.
Okay, next is the approved local government forestry assistance grant.
This grant cover when we go to meetings about forest, or Jessica Bushnell or DES, any training, and it's just paying for travel expenses, meals, mileage, hotels. So it's just saving the county money. It does not pay for salaries. So it's going to be asking for $1,779.40. And this grant is due today. And again, so it just helps reimburse the county for expenses for meetings that we would go to, if we go to them. So it's no additional money from the county. It actually reimburses the county for expenses.
What was the total of the request?
$1,779.40. And that was just based on if there's 18 days of travel, hotels, the hotels 5 nights. We're just kind of taking a stab at the mileage and meals. And this is something that gets reimbursed to the county.
All right. Janae, you've had an opportunity to review this grant?
Yes, I have had an opportunity to review it.
Okay.
And I didn't see anything of concern on it. It looks like it's a reimbursement, so you only get money if you spend money, kind of a thing. But I didn't see anything of concern.
And hopefully this year we can actually go to trainings, not have Zoom trainings. public comment.
Again, from Claire reading, is a copy of the grant with today's agenda documents. So it is
Uploaded to the website, wasn't it?
I believe so.
double check.
Commissioner Delcher.
Yes, Tim.
Quick question for clarity. Where is this grant coming from?
Montana DNRC, Local Government Forestry Assistance Grant. I'm sorry, I should have said that.
Montana?
DNRC.
Oh, from the state. Okay, it's a state grant. Thank you. Because federal, state gets mixed up. Okay, so that's from DNRC. On the same subject, I did not bring this up in public comment because I thought maybe it would fit here under this particular government forestry discussion on funding. Let me clarify on Tim Ravendall as a citizen, and what I am looking at is I had mentioned to Commissioner Randolph here a couple of weeks ago that I have an issue that has been coming back to the surface that I would like to get on the agenda with regarding forest management here in Broadwater County, and that again ties into here locally rather than traveling abroad and having those expenses under this grant. But again, I may be out of line here by bringing this up because I didn't know for sure if I was getting in trouble by bringing it up in public comment when we have a forestry issue on the agenda. Therefore, I would like to request to be on the agenda to bring forward a discussion on forest management here in Broadwater County. This has been brought up multiple times over the past 4 or 5 commissions as they've changed over the years. And I think it's important, even though RY Timber is temporarily, hopefully, still shut down, it's very important to be looking at these opportunities that are knocking on the door here in Broadwater County, because we are a forested county, and we need to make sure that we take every action that we can, especially with the new administration. And so with that said, I would like to have that. I apologize if I'm out of order on this particular request because it should have been done earlier or maybe off record, but I wanted to make sure that it's brought forward, and this was about the best time I can come up with. And again, there's another question on the agenda, and I'll wait until after the meeting adjourns to ask a question to get clarity. Thank you.
Hey, Tim, before you go.
Yes, sir.
And so it's kind of our policy, and you can request me on the agenda, that's great. But we kind of need to have an idea of what the topics are that we're going to discuss, so
Okay.
that we have to prepare and give us the answers that you might be looking for.
I fully appreciate that question, Commissioner, and the question that I'm going to be bringing forward that is being raised across not only Montana but across the West is coordination planning of resource management planning with our federal and state agencies, coordination at the level of local government under the Federal Land Management Act is a provision that has not been exercised. We've looked at doing this through the planning department. We've looked at doing this through the commission. We've looked at doing through other taxing bodies in the county. And it is a very important tool that gets you a seat at the table without having to go to Washington, D.C., Denver, et cetera, to attend meetings where planning is taking place, because it develops a resource management plan here in the county that takes care of business here at home with the input of the people from home rather than out across the spectrum from, I will just say, setting forest management plans from New York and Washington, D.C. And that's the best way I could summarize that real quickly for you. And I can go ahead and give you a summary introduction in writing if you would like beforehand, but I would like to have that because there's a lot of folks that would want to have that discussion and to have there's a resolution that is in order to make sure that we protect the ability to do our resource management here in Broadwater County.
Perfect. That'd be great if you could send us an email that kind of outlines that for us, so we actually know where to look and find this information. That'd be great.
Sure.
Perfect.
I'd be more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
And if I can get on the agenda to bring that forward, that would be awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other comment? Someone like to make a motion to approve this grant?
I would move to accept and approve the Montana DNRC Local Government Forestry Assistance Grant for 2021.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made and approved to apply for the Local Government Forestry Assisting Grant 2021. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay. Next item, Neil Boma immediately family member transfer.
Yeah, this is the one where he doesn't, we need to give him a call.
All right, let's see what we can make technology work here for us.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to hand out the.
Okay.
Is this what you're?
That is a 5, isn't it? I think.
I believe so.
Okay.
Please dial a 1 when dialing this number.
You were close.
I was close.
Did I get this time?
Yes, this is Broadwater County Commission. Can you hear us?
Hello, Palmer Truck Bill.
Try that again.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay. This is Broadwater County. This is the Broadwater County Commission. We're calling for Neil Bama.
Sure. Can you hold on a moment, please?
Yeah. Did the green lights come on?
Yeah, green light's over here. I threw you off because it was red, so I hit the green and then, yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Nobody touch. Yeah, just no more.
Hello, it's Neil.
Good morning, Neil. This is the Broadwater County Commissioners.
Hey, how you doing today?
We're doing good. We're getting ready to discuss your agenda item.
Okay.
Janae, do you want to start?
Would you like me to start? Okay. So, Commissioners, ultimately what's going on this, we have a gift or sale that was done to an immediate family member. There's a certificate of survey exemption affidavit in Broadwater County that I have provided to you. But in that, on page 3, under number 9, it says, do you agree that you and or your family member receiving this property will not sell any of the tracts created under the family member transfer exemption for a period of 2 years unless you or the recipient file for a subdivision review? Yes is checked off on there. Underneath it, it says, if your life circumstances change per a birth, death, divorce, illness, etc., you may request an exemption of the 2-year time period from the county commissioners. Mr. Boma is essentially seeking that exemption, and so I will let him address the county commissioners unless you have questions for me at this time.
I don't,
No?
right now.
Okay.
No, but you talk, Mike, you're the chairman.
Well, I guess the affidavit says that you would come before the commissioner and request this. I guess the circumstances are death, divorce, illness. I don't know that that's really our business as to your personal stuff, but we would kind of like an explanation of why this property is being sold while it's still under this affidavit.
Okay. Well, my name is Neil Bama. I'm from Shoto. And yes, that is an issue. And I have explained it to your people, kind of what happened. So I am in the process of selling Bama Truck Sales, which wasn't even on the table a year ago. Because of the COVID, there's a lot of things have changed in my life. My father fell and broke his hip, which I didn't tell the other people. I didn't know if it was an issue or not, but anyway. So here's what I'm asking of you guys. I don't know if you guys are aware, but there are 12 parcels on that ranch. So I could have just as easy, probably way easier, just done a boundary line adjustment. I could have created a 20-acre parcel. I could have created an 83-acre parcel like there is without using this method. And I'm sorry if I did it wrong. I'm new at this. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm asking you guys to help me out here because my life has changed, and I'm scheduled to sell this ranch on Thursday. In turn, I'm purchasing a piece of property that has a government lease on it that pays a lot more money than the ranch pays. But most of all, my point is that I'm not selling the 83-acre parcels as a part of a subdivision or independently. I'm trying to sell the entire ranch in one piece, just like I bought it. I'm not getting any more money for those lots because they're smaller, which I could have if I sold them separate. And the current purchaser is an attorney from Great Falls. His daughter likes to bow hunt, and he likes the property for that reason. He has no intentions of doing these to split off these acreages and sell them. He would just as soon buy it without them on there. All it did is cost me a lot of money, and I've learned something from it. And I'm sorry if I did something that was against your rules, but I'm asking you to help me out here. And this guy wants to buy the entire ranch in one piece, and I think it will kill the sale if I try to separate out these 83-acre pieces and not sell them to him. I think that's going to kill the whole deal. And so, the title is clear. There's no restrictions on the deed that we have, but I understand what your rules are. I'm just asking you. Apparently, you have the right to override that if you want to. And I could have created these a different way and never had this issue. I could have made them smaller. There is 2 20-acre parcels on that place right now, and they're not being sold separately as well. And this guy does not intend to do that. So I think the purpose of your rule is being followed because I'm not asking you to let me sell these on their own. All I want to do is sell my ranch. I'm moving to Whitefish, and that's a long ways from Whitefish, so I don't want to do anything to put my parents out there. I have a sister in Livingston, so that was a great idea, but if I'm moving the other direction now, we have a change of plans. And I would appreciate if you guys would help me resolve this. It won't happen again. I know better now, and I'm just asking you to help me out here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
I guess, maybe a question for Nicole, I guess, as long as you're here. So the subdivision that he created, does that still stay in place?
So it was not, good morning, Neil, this is Nicole Brown.
Or was it was just a division of,
He used an exemption, a family
Exemption,
transfer
okay.
exemption.
Okay.
So there was no subdivision
okay.
that occurred.
Okay, that makes sense. He just separated the parcels doing it, the exemption.
That's correct.
Okay. And,
Yeah, and I would do it different if I had to do it again. I probably got some bad advice. I don't know. But I realize now, after looking into it, that it would have been easier and cheaper to just do a boundary line adjustment. I could have created the same parcels, and I could have made them smaller. So it was not a smart thing to do, but it's done, and we're running out of daylight because this guy wants to close on Thursday, and I'm just trying to figure out a way to get it done if you guys can help me out.
right. So, would that all go away then if we decide?
No, it would not go away.
So those parcels still stay,
They would still be in existence,
still,
yes.
okay. Those boundaries would still be,
Yes, as they stand today, they
Okay.
would still stand
Okay.
tomorrow and
Okay.
forever until they amended them.
Yeah, the ranch is split in 12 parcels, so it's real easy to do a boundary line adjustment. I could have created a 20-acre piece, and I'm not new. I'm new at this. I'm not a developer. I'm sure I had bad advice. I could have done it cheaper and easier, and it would have been totally fine. But I'm sorry it happened that way, and I'd appreciate if you guys can help me close this deal because I'm buying another piece of property that it'll kill that as well if I don't get this done. So
sure. Could
just
the,
asking for your help.
yeah, so could the new purchaser, if he wanted to make this one big block again, could he come in and he could go through the process and realign those boundaries again, right?
Yes, yeah, he could do an aggregation, family transfer, boundary relocation.
Sure,
These are not encumbered
okay,
by any
all right,
anything that would
All right.
prevent that.
He's an attorney from Great Falls, and he has no intentions of selling off pieces of that ranch at this point. Anywhere in the near future, he tells me.
right. I guess that's just
He
something,
doesn't care if those 80-acre pieces are there, or if it's a bigger piece. But it's just we're running out of time to do it any other way, I guess, because I don't want to lose the sale of this place if I can help it.
sure. And I don't want to get in your
But I'm
business.
not selling them as single pieces. I think that's a pretty big factor.
I don't want to get into your business, Neil, but I guess I'm just saying that's just another option for this new purchaser, that's something he could do if he wanted to put it back into one big block.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. He could do a boundary line adjustment,
Yep.
do that, I think, or whatever you guys recommend. But he has no problem with it not with these pieces not existing. Or if you tell him he can't sell them for 2 years. I have to be able to sell them. If I transfer them back from my parents to me so I can sell them, then I have to be able to sell them to him. But if you want something from him saying that he'll dissolve those pieces, I'm sure I can get that from him.
Oh, that's not really something we can do, is it, Janelle? Yeah.
Yeah, if you
I
feel
haven't-
that's important for you, the place is in 12 pieces, so he can move the boundaries of line and he can do whatever he wants after he buys it.
Just to answer your question, Commissioner, I haven't done official legal research on that, so I would have to do more research on it. But my gut reaction
Yeah.
is that would not be.
Okay. Well, I guess my comment is, I mean, I certainly understand that things change in our life, and I don't want to stand in the way of an opportunity for you. I'll let the other commissioners comment.
I would agree with Commissioner Folkford, and I appreciate you working with us and giving us some time to look at this.
You bet. Well, I have the paperwork there to transfer it from my parents to me, which would clean it up so the title company would insure it. That's the holdup, is the title company can't insure it right now because of your restrictions. So that's the quickest, easiest way to fix it, is just go file it and cash my check, and then the title company can insure it and the sale can go on. If you got a better option, I'm all ears.
You think, Mike?
Well, I would agree with both commissioners, Folkford and Randolph. The one comment I do have is that anyone that was to subdivide that, so even understanding this attorney is not looking to do that, but should be forewarned and advised that this is a very inhospitable area in the winter. Access is extremely limited and is probably going to become more limited as we have road issues in the area that are to be resolved, and it's not a place that someone wants to live year-round if you want to get to town every day to have a cup of coffee or something, because some days it's going to be a journey. Saying that,
Well, I
I
figured
would...
that out after I bought the place. They quit plowing the road right in my driveway.
Yep. So I would think that I would agree with the recommendation to allow Mr. Boma to release the affidavit on the family land transfers. So saying that, is there a motion?
Yeah,
Can I give-
what would the motion be?
That's what I was just going to give you a suggestion on, because it allows you to give him an exemption in here to the 2-year requirement. I would suggest giving him the exemption to the 2-year requirement is how I would
Okay,
word that.
all right. Want to do that, Deb?
Sure. Sorry.
Or you want me to?
Are you okay?
No, I just,
Okay.
I thought somebody was talking to me. I got confused.
I would move to give Neil Boma an exemption of the 2-year time period for this land.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to give Mr. Boma the exemption for the 2-year affidavit. Is there any further discussion? Any public comment? Take a vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
All right.
We're sorry to see you leave, Neil, leave Broadwater County, but we wish you the best.
Well, I appreciate that, and I thank you guys very much.
You're welcome. I hope that you enjoy retirement if that's where you're headed.
Well, it's going to take a few years to get it all done, but that's what I'm working on.
All right. Very good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil. Okay, that concludes the agenda. We have some mail. First off, we have the minutes from April 26, 2021. Is there a motion to approve?
What was it? Yeah, go ahead. What was the date again?
April 26, 2021.
I move to accept the minutes from April 26, 2021.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Motion's been made and second to approve minutes from April 26, 21. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. We have claims. Claim approval list for the accounting period 4/21. In the amount of $176,695.50.
I'll make the motion to approve paid claims in the amount of $176,695.50.
Second the motion.
The motion been made and seconded to pay claims in said amount. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Another set of approved claims for 421, in the amount of $46,036.63.
I would move to approve the claims of $46,036.63
No.
on April 21st.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pay claims in said amount. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. And with that, that is the end of the agenda and end of mail. So we will adjourn at 11:37.
Okay, you can turn us off, Misty.